Why the hell am I in a bathtub?
Hello everybody, my name's Infinity Gamer and welcome to What Is, the series where we ponder the question what is, and today I think I may have fallen asleep in this bathtub while trying to prepare for my expedition out into the zombie-infested streets. Well, since I decided to take a break, I might as well play the game closest to my right hand. The Evil Within marked the great return of Shinji Mikami, making his way back to the survival horror genre. Originally named under the project title Zui, since Mikami thought it sounded cool, The Evil Within started development in 2010. Shinji Mikami didn't feel like making another survival horror game, especially with already two of the biggest survival horror games under his belt, Resident Evil and Resident Evil 4. Both games are noted for being a turning point in not only the survival horror genre, but gaming as a whole. However, his tune changed when he saw the massive demand for the survival horror genre, along with the shift to action the genre had been taking. This displeased Mikami, making him determined to hit the market with a game that would make you say, wow, I've never played a game that scary in ages. While in development, the game used ID Tech 5 with some modifications to have better dynamic lighting for the game. Along with the new lighting, Mikami also wanted to give these creatures a unique design to help sell the horror. Thankfully, artist Ikumi Nakamura hopped on board, drawing up the iconic barbed wire art that is known with the game. The reason for this type of art was to show the torture that the mind could put you under, with multiple enemy designs showing wrapped barbed wire or broken glass sticking out of their bodies. While working on the actual game design, Mikami wanted the player to truly value their resources, purposely giving them little ammo and making enemies stronger to make players rely on running and hiding rather than taking every fight in front of them. That being said, Mikami also wanted to give players the tools to kill these enemies, making combat feel more like a puzzle rather than a hurdle for the player to jump. The Evil Within was announced on April 19, 2013, with Bethesda releasing multiple videos up until the release of the game on October 14, 2014, with 1 million copies being sold in the first 2 weeks of its launch. Let's dive deeper into the mind of Mikami's return to survival horror. And his return has some bumps along the road. Overall, the game looks very good for a mid-2010 game. You can see the dynamic lighting really putting its effort in here, along with a ton of visual interesting locations. This game has so many locations to go through, it will be hard to feel like you have a grip on your surroundings, especially since they're changing all the time. Along with a masterfully crafted atmosphere with Saw-like graphics and Inception-styled physics, this game would be an amazing horror game if it didn't take you out of the immersion with all of its goofy visual bugs that really take away from the horror, filling this game with an unusual comedy. And while I only found one game-breaking bug, most of these bugs stick to just funny visual gags. But I didn't buy this game to have a laugh. It can also be really hard to see these visual bugs with this odd bobbing camera they added, making me feel so disoriented while playing. I tried to find the setting to turn it off, but I had no luck turning off this motion sickness-inducing camera. While in the settings, I also realized that this game is locked to only 60 FPS, which is something I haven't seen when playing older games. I am sure other games have the same setting, not just any I have ran into, hence me noting it here. Thankfully for The Evil Within, the overall controls of the game work pretty well. There can be some jank, but it didn't feel like I was having a hard time playing the game with the controls, even if the keybinds were a little weird and the punching mechanic didn't always work smoothly. This game does have some cool little details. Like at the start of the game, you can see your player character bleed onto the floor from a wound he had just suffered, making for a cool visual detail, along with numerous visual callbacks to Resident Evil. Along with visual callbacks from Resident Evil, there are also some audio callbacks, like with poor voice acting. This game isn't as cheesy as any of the original Resident Evil games, but it certainly has its moments that make you question if these people are secretly robots.
Times now, Joseph. You're learning to stop it.
Overall, The Evil Within has not aged well. When I was researching for this video, I was shocked to find out it only came out in 2014 due to just how jank it can feel at times. While the presentation does leave more to be desired, the gameplay is extremely well made. This game adds some unique mechanics to the survival horror genre. One of these includes turning a stamina meter into a resource that you're going to need to manage while in combat. Run too much and you'll get stuck in place, allowing enemies to gang up on you, dealing damage. meaning running away in this game is a strategy in itself. It's a really creative way to make players question just running through every section. So if every section can't be dealt with by just running away, and you can't kill every enemy either, then you might be wondering, how can you handle these roaming hordes? Well, now you're probably waiting for me to tell you, since I just set that line up for a payoff. It's stealth. You can use stealth to kill certain enemies in order to save ammo, and open pathways through wonderfully constructed level design. Stealth, though, can also be used to disarm the plentiful amount of traps laid out in your path. These traps sometimes are just a prompt to disarm the trap, or a little mini game that, when done correctly, will yield the same results. When successfully disarming a trap, you will be rewarded with trap parts. These trap parts are used to craft a certain type of weapon ammo. The Evil Within has a limited yet interesting weapon roster. You have your standard handgun and shotgun, but you also have a sniper rifle and a completely new weapon called the Agony Crossbow. This crossbow has all these different kinds of bolts to load the weapon with. These bolts can be crafted with those trap parts I talked about earlier. I would argue the Agony Crossbow is the true main weapon of this game. If you use this weapon correctly, you can take out your enemies with just one bolt. You have the Harpoon Bolt, which does basic damage to your enemies, but you also have special bolts, like the Ice Bolt. This bolt freezes your enemy, allowing you to melee them, breaking their bodies apart and killing them. You also have the Flash Bolt that blinds your enemies, letting you get stealth kills off of them while they're in a blinded state, along with the Explosive Bolt
That when I press this button does.
The final bolt is the Shock Bolt. This bolt will shock your enemies to the ground, allowing you to use matches. These matches can be used when you down an enemy. Sometimes when you down an enemy, they can get back up. But if you use a match, they will burn their bodies, instantly killing them. This means if you use a Shock Bolt along with a match, you can get some easy kills on tougher enemies. On the subject of tougher enemies, the Evil Within has as many enemy types as locations in the game. Way too many to truly cover all in this one review, but I will shine the light on the two that I found had the most interesting mechanics. The Keeper, or as I like to call him, Safe Butcher Guy, has this cool respawn mechanic that when he is killed, he can respawn at any safe that is around you, allowing him to feel like a hulking beast that you could never truly defeat. The other enemy is called Laura, but again, I like using my better and more superior name, Ring Lady, who really hates fire. As my name suggests, Laura is almost impenetrable to bullets, meaning you will have to use fire to kill the Grudge knockoff. If you are worried about not getting a break from this never-ending onslaught of enemy types, you will be pleased to know that Shinji Mikami has not forgotten about your safe room. However, these safe rooms are given a new spin in this game. You see, you'll have to find these doors with this red symbol on them. Once inside, you can use a mirror to teleport yourself to a hospital where you can do a number of things, like save your game. Along with saving your game, you can also upgrade your inventory and skills here using the Brain Chair. As you play through the game, you will find Green Gel, but I don't like that name either, so I just call him Brain Juice. You can use this Brain Juice to upgrade your character's health, stamina, and all your weapons with a bunch of other choices. You have other things you can do in the hospital, like visit the morgue. Here you can use special keys found in secret locations to unlock the drawers. Inside the drawers are not dead bodies, thankfully. Instead, there are useful supplies to help you with your journey. Another collectible you can find are the map fragments. Not sure what these do since I didn't find them all, and I have no idea what happens when the map is filled out, but I'll leave that to one video gamer to find out. But that wraps up the gameplay in a neat barbed wire bow. But let's pick through the brain of this game's story. The Evil Within is one of those games where the story is slowly revealed to you throughout your playthrough with cryptic cutscenes and hidden memos that give you background for the characters and settings of the game, making your journey through this game feel like a detective trying to solve a mystery. This makes sense since you play as a detective named Sebastian Castellanos. Our gumshoe has been called out to a mass murder site at Beacon Hospital. Here, Sebastian falls into a weird world of madness where he has to try and not only find a way out, but also to figure out what is causing all the horrors he is having to face. All while a mysterious figure is chasing him down, trying to stop him from saving a mental patient who has been dragged into this mess. Yet this mental patient might be more than what he seems. In order to find out what is happening, you can find these lab memos that talk about a place or machine called the STEM, and its connection to the human mind. Along with memos, you can also find tape players where you can hear what seems to be the result of an experiment being carried out. You can also find Sebastian's diary, recalling his time in the Force, and how he perceives the world around him, giving you insight into your main character. While the story of this game hides itself in cryptic memos, I won't do the same with my opinion on the game. I enjoyed my time with The Evil Within. It's a really fun addition to my survival horror library. It takes the survival horror name very seriously. I on multiple occasions found myself out of ammo and having to run away from enemies to survive, unlike other survival horror franchises where I always have enough ammo to pretty much kill everything. So actually being challenged here was a pretty nice change of pace. However, this game feels heavily outdated. It was released in 2014 and yet feels like a pre-2010 game. This is due to the choice in key bindings, lack of game customization, and overall jank that does come with the game. The horror of this game can be quickly removed with the amount of visual bugs, which left me laughing more than frightened. And the bugs didn't just stick to being visual. I had a boss completely bug out on me, causing me to have to restart the game, which was pretty annoying. Thankfully, it only happened on that one boss, but the game's overall design feels pretty sloppy. This is only reinforced by the awful camera. I honestly hate this camera so much. It's always bobbing so harshly that it feels like the cameraman had one too many drinks and is now tripping over his feet. The game also has no way to shut this annoying feature off, meaning if any of you out there get motion sickness pretty easily, this game might just be unplayable for you. Camera bobbing aside, this game does look nice, with some great enemy designs that I really liked. So, should you get The Evil Within? Well, at the price of $10, this game depends on if it looks up your alley. $10 is pretty cheap for a game of this length. I mean, I got 13 hours of playtime in the game, but if you're sensitive to heavy motion or prone to really easy motion sickness, I just wouldn't waste your money on this game. The camera is really bad, and what's the point of buying a game that might make you puke? Overall, this game is okay for its price, so if you're looking for a cheap, new survival horror experience, I would recommend The Evil Within. I feel for $10, I can excuse a lot of the jank for the overall cheapness and fun experience.
Well, that takes up my break time. There's still a lot to be done before we're gonna head out into the zombie-infested world. But don't worry, I'll update you guys with another survival log next month, so I guess I'll see you guys then.
Infestation at critical percent. Initiating black hole protocol.